All right. Can everybody hear me? Hey, who's this? Woman Thriving. How are you, Woman Thriving? Good. You could hear me. The Unstoppable Woman. Now I can see your picture. Now I know who this is. And I see my friend Denise. All right. Glad to see people joining on. I have to say, this is my very first one. My friend Denise talked me into this. So I told her that I would give it a chance, give it a shot, and hopefully I can help her. So I'm going to give a little background around what I'm going to share today, and then hopefully we'll go probably around 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. Now, of course, I can't share everything I know in 35 or 40 minutes. If I could, I wouldn't be successful. But what I can do is I could get us started in a conversation and teach you as much as I can in the time that we have. And if all goes well, we can meet up again next week and we can keep going. And hopefully you might have the opportunity to grow, have the opportunity to share your message with the world, and also, most importantly, be able to support yourself while you do it. And so it's 6:59. So I'm going to give a little quick intro. And if by chance you see my eyes wandering all over the place, it's simply because I have my monitor up because I have some notes that I don't want to miss, and I want to make sure that I have an opportunity to share with you all. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get started. One of the things I want to share, first of all, is a little bit about myself. By all means, if you're going to take time out to listen to somebody, you want to make sure that you're listening to the right people. And that by itself is great advice, because oftentimes, when we look to follow our passions and look to follow our dreams, we've got to find somebody who's doing it at the level that we want to do it. And so many times, everyone says they're an expert and everybody says that they know what they're talking about. But to really find out, you have to check for yourself and see, are they actually operating at the level that you want to operate? And so to share a little bit with you is one of the things that I like to share is if you, hold on one second, I got something from Denise. It says tap the screen. Do I need to tap the screen? Hold on a second. Oh, okay. Sorry, I told you it's my first one. So y'all don't send me a whole lot of messages because you're going to throw me off. Okay, so back to finding someone who does it at the level that you want to do it. I started my speaking career in 1999. And like most people, I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of fumbling through, but I ran into a few people that took the time to mentor me. And because of their mentorship, I've been able to do it full time for about 15 years out of the 20 years that I did it. It took me about 4 or 5 years to really get to the point where I could quit my day job and really follow this passion and really follow this dream. And now I've been in and out of the country. I've had some great opportunities to meet some great people. I've made a whole lot of money doing it. Although I never chased the money, I was more around the passion, and I just believed in my message. I just believed that what I had to share others would be a blessing to other people. And that right there really was the motivation for me. And the places I've had the opportunity to go and the people I've had the opportunity to meet and the money and lifestyle I've had the opportunity to have, that's just an extra blessing. So that's a little bit about who I am. Now let me take a stab at who I think that you might be. My guess is you're someone who's passionate, definitely about speaking, but not sure how to make a living from it. You've probably done a few talks, and they ended up being for free. Maybe you got a t-shirt or maybe you got a mug, but you never really got paid like you think you deserve to get paid. You don't want to waste your time and waste your money listening to somebody who has got a fancy website and tries to sell you on some things. And probably it would be nice if you had a mentor and someone to kind of teach you the ropes and help you along the way. Now, I'm guessing I did pretty good in, at least coming close to who you might be. And the reason why I say this is because that used to be me. I can promise you, I used to think that my name was pro bono no more. I used to think my name was pro bono because I would do everything pro bono. I just couldn't figure out how to get paid. People loved to hear me, but I wasn't getting paid for it. Then I learned a few things. And the things I'm going to share today is absolutely the best and the truth of about what I know of the speaking business. I'm not here to sell you anything. I have nothing to sell you. I have no product pitch at the end. All of this is totally free. Why? Because somebody took the time to sit down with me one day and share some secrets with me. And it changed my life. And now it's my opportunity to share some of these secrets with you. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. So here's the prerequisite for being a successful speaker. And remember, there is such a huge difference between being a paid speaker and being a non-paid speaker. Non-paid speakers, a dime a dozen. You can ask 1,000 people and they'll all tell you in one form or another how they're a motivational speaker. But not everybody's getting paid. So one of the things I'm going to share with you is the difference. And it's important that you look at yourself and kind of realize, where do you fall in the category? Are you following the habits of a non-paid speaker? Or are you following the habits of a paid speaker? One thing I like to tell people is, although I'm focusing so much on getting paid, I don't want you to think that it's all about the money. And definitely don't think that I'm all about just money hungry and how much money can I get. It's not about that. But at the same time, for you to reach the masses, to you to be able to travel and to really reach more people and bless more people just in life, you're going to have to know how to sustain this and make the money. So that's why I'm going to focus on getting paid. But I didn't want it to overshadow your message and the importance and responsibility of being a speaker. So the first thing to consider is this, that in order to be a paid speaker, you have to have achieved something. You've got to be a success somewhere in your life, because after all, what are people paying for? So the question now is, what have you achieved? What have you accomplished in your life that is proof that you're worth the value of your words? Maybe you started some foundation, or maybe you overcame some huge obstacle, or maybe you found something out and you got some great knowledge around something. All that is great, but is it worth something? Have you found success, or have you achieved something worth paying for? That's always going to be question number one. And that's really what's going to separate the paid speakers from the non-paid speakers. So take time out and really kind of think that one through. And sometimes you might think that you haven't really accomplished all that much, but others around you are in awe of you. They're inspired by you. Talk to them. Have a conversation so you might have the opportunity to know, like, what is it that you see in me? Why is it that you come to me for advice? What is it about me that draws you? And they might tell you it's your wisdom. It might tell you that they see how you carry yourself, or it might be something that you've done or something that you've achieved that really is inspiring to them. Don't play yourself short. You have overcome many obstacles to be where you are. Matter of fact, I shared just today or just yesterday in a video that you have overcome 100% of everything that's ever came your way. Because you're still here. You're still standing here. That says something. It says something about your resilience. It says something about your passion of life. Can you package that? Can you share that? Do you believe that the steps that you know to be successful would bless somebody else? If so, then you've got step one, achievement, success. That's the prerequisite of being a paid speaker. So not only do you need to take time out and consider, what things have you done and what things have made you a success, but now some people would ask the question, like, what's your passion around? That's good. I mean, your passion is important, but also remember, you're thinking about getting paid. So it's not only your passion, but it's the passion of those you speak to. I can speak about my passion and inspire others around their passion, but you have to have an understanding of both. So you really got to know your own story. Everybody's got a story. And here's the beauty of your story. Know your life story well, the ugly and the good. Be comfortable telling your story. Tell your story with passion. When you get to the point that you can't tell your story with the same passion and the same feeling that you had when you went through whatever you went through, don't tell that story. You've lost it. When you get to the point when you can tell your story and it's just read like a book and you don't have any passion around it, don't tell that story. Don't write that book. No one's going to buy that book. But if you could tell your story and really know your story in such a way that you still feel it, the heartache, you still feel the pain, the triumph, you still have that feeling, tell that. Because that's what inspires people. That's what people want. They don't just want inspiration. They want know how to. They want to know how you did it. They want the steps on how to do it. And they want the passion. But to know all that, you have to be comfortable with your own story. You've got to be comfortable and really know where it is that all this is coming from. Because wherever it's coming from really boils down to your reason why you want to do this. So number one, be a success. Be passionate, but also know this about passion. This is great. Passion trumps perfection every time. Let me say that again. Passion trumps perfection every time. You don't have to be the perfect speaker. You don't even have to be a great speaker, but be passionate. Because people will look past imperfection when they can feel that passion. Ask anyone who follows me, I am notorious for making grammatical mistakes. I'll put a post on Facebook, turn around 5 minutes later, find 6 mistakes I got to turn around and fix. But you know what? So many people still follow me. So many people still read my posts because it comes from a passionate place. And passion trumps perfection. If you're not a great speaker, I come from having a stuttering problem. Sometimes I still stutter. You will still hear me, even in these podcasts, stutter. But you'll be willing to overlook the stuttering because of the passion. Why? Because passion trumps perfection. So be passionate about whatever you speak of. Okay, so now slowly but surely, let's start going down the list of what it takes. One of the important things of really knowing how to become successful is knowing what your topic is going to be. Now, let me tell you why this is important. So you know you're successful, right? I mean, that's the prerequisite. And you're passionate. And you know your story. But do you know what you're talking about? Do you know what it is that you're going to share? One of the biggest mistakes I hear all the time is young speakers and older speakers coming up to me wanting to be a motivational speaker or professional speaker. And I'll ask them, well, what do you talk about? And they said, oh, man, I can talk about anything. Then I look at them, I tell them, you can't. You're not that smart. You can't talk about anything and everything. You're not that intelligent. So the question now is, what do you speak about? What is it that you really do know that's going to have the opportunity to help somebody? That requires you to really stop and say, if you're going to be considered a professional speaker, let me tell you what that says unconsciously. Unconsciously, that says that you're an expert in some area. What area is that? You need to know how to articulate that. Because when somebody asks you the question, are you a speaker? You need to be able to say, well, I am a professional speaker, but you'll also need to be able to explain to them what it is that you speak about. So it's important that you know your topic. One of the things that I think can happen to a person is they believe they're a speaker. They know what their topic is, but they just haven't quite narrowed it. So the challenge that I would give you is really take time out to find that niche, find that topic. What is it defined to its lowest common denominator that you speak of? Let me give you some examples. That probably be helpful. When I first started my speaking career, let me tell you how I stumbled into it. I stumbled into it by accident. I was an educator. I taught 6th grade. Excuse me. Personally, I think that was God's divine intervention, because if you can keep the attention of some 6th graders, you can keep the attention of anybody. And so I was teaching 6th grade in California. And then it happened to be January, and they were going to have a Martin Luther King celebration, and they needed a speaker. Well, being the only African American on staff, they asked me would I speak for the Martin Luther King Day celebration. So I did. And I got up there and I spoke. Now, without going into history, you'll have to look me up on my website to learn more. But I overcame some serious obstacles. I shared one being that I had a stuttering problem, but I also had a crippling problem too, issues with my legs growing up. Long story short, I was able to overcome these obstacles, but I never talked about them because it gave me low self-esteem as a child, and it was very painful. And so it was one of the things I didn't talk about because I was so much bullied as a kid that even some of my family members didn't know what was going on at school, but I never brought it up. Well, here I am doing this Martin Luther King talk, and one of Martin Luther King's messages is treat others like you want to be treated. And somewhere in my talk, I got lost in my own head and started sharing this story about me growing up and how I was bullied and how I was treated and how it's so important that we treat people like we want to be treated because you never know how they're going to turn out. Well, when I was done, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. And all these parents and all these teachers started coming up to me, and these parents would say, hey, you need to bring this message to my other kid's school. And some of the teachers, remembered me and asked me to speak at these different conferences. So I started going to these different places speaking, but I wasn't getting paid. I was just doing it because I didn't know that you could get paid. But as I started going, I didn't keep doing the Martin Luther King talks. I started teaching how to overcome obstacles. Why? Because that's what I had become an expert in. Because I had some serious obstacles, one of the biggest ones being low self-esteem and no confidence. But I learned how to overcome it. So I started sharing. Well, something else that's a great lesson for you all is I was sharing with an audience that I felt like that I could offer something to. I was speaking to kids. I was speaking at assemblies. I wasn't that old. I was only 24 years old when I was teaching. And so I was a little intimidated about speaking to older adults or more educated people or people with more money. But I felt comfortable speaking to youth because I had been there, done that. I had done the youth thing. So I know what they were feeling. I knew what they were going through. So for me, it wasn't just a matter of picking my topic, but I also handpicked my audience. Now, I got calls to speak at other places, but I was a little intimidated. I wasn't there mentally, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But where I was is I knew my topic around overcoming obstacles, and I knew who my audience could be, kids. And so that's where I started my career. And so same with you, as you pick your topic, you really need to sit back and say, well, who's my audience? Who is it that's really going to benefit from this talk? And although we would love for everyone to benefit from our talks, and it could happen, you need to make sure that whatever your topic is, that it's on point. So, number one, you have to be a success. Number two, you got to be passionate about it. When you lose your passion, then you've lost something pretty special. Next but not least, you need to know what your topic is. You need to really know your story. Here's the other beautiful thing about knowing your story. Nobody else can duplicate it because nobody has your story but yours. I can't tell you how many times I've been on stage and I've been the last speaker. And where most people will be totally nervous around, okay, if I get up there and speak, they might steal my thunder. They might say something that I was going to say. I never have that fear. You know why? Because you can't tell my story. Only I can tell my story. And so I was even on stage with Dr. King's son on a Martin Luther King event. And I wasn't too nervous or too intimidated because Dr. King's son is on stage and I'm talking about, Dr. Martin Luther King. You know why? Because how he influenced me was my story. And nobody can tell my story but me. And that's the beauty with you. No one can tell your story. Everything you've been through in life up to this point has got you ready for this opportunity. It's your time to shine, but you got to have the confidence to do it. So let me talk about that confidence. Because I can believe that you can do it. And you may not quite believe it yet, but if you can believe that I know what I'm telling you is true, you'll get there. One day it will click. Point in case. It might be hard for you to say right now that you're a professional speaker. Because in your mind, maybe you're speaking in your spare time or your free time or part-time. Or maybe you haven't made the money that you wanted to make. But you need to make that switch in your head. If you've ever got paid, you're professional now. That's really the definition, that you're getting paid. And once you start saying it, you'll start believing it. But you got to put it out there. I'm going to get to this later, but you could have the best story in the world and be one of the most passionate people with just great value to bring to the masses. But if you don't believe it yourself, that you're that professional speaker, no one's going to hire you. No one's going to pay for that because you don't believe it. How are you going to share your message with me when you don't believe in the message? Believe in the message, believe in the messenger. It's going to click one day. And when it does, you'll be amazed. So this is what I need you to do. From this day forward, you're a professional speaker. You may not feel like it, but you need to tell people that's who you are. Because the more you say it, now they know. So now they know how to treat you right. Now they know who to call. Now they know when you say professional speaker, that means that I need to get paid for my services as well. You got to put it out there. And the more it's out there, the more people talk about it, and the more they'll know who you are, and the more you'll start believing it yourself. Okay? So it's a growing process. It really gets tough when we talk about fees, and we'll be coming to that a little bit later if I have time tonight. So what was the first step? Becoming a success. You have to have achieved something. You got to know your story, keep the passion, but also at the same time, you got to know your topic. You can't talk about everything. Okay, you might be able to talk about anything, but not everything. Decide what that is. And then it's really knowing exactly who your audience is. Who is it that you want to, share this message with? Okay, so now I know what you're wondering. Okay, Dion, I got those things. I know what my topic is, and I have a pretty good idea who my audience might be. But how do I get out there? Here's one of the, it's not really a secret, but something special to know about the speaking business. When you step into the speaking business, you're also stepping into the marketing business. You really got to know how to market yourself. For some people, that kind of scares you. Let me take the fear out of marketing. But first of all, let me tell you the importance of marketing. With marketing, it's really around letting other people know what you do. Once again, you could be the best speaker in the world, but if nobody knows about you, then how would you be successful? And so it's so important that you actually take the time to do the marketing, put it out there and who you are. Now, for some people, this scares people. They don't like talking about themselves. They don't like selling things, and they definitely don't like the whole marketing idea. Let me show you how it works. Let me share with you how it works. I don't sell, I share. There's such a difference. There's such a difference of me trying to force something on you and telling you why you gotta hire me and why I'm the pick and why you need to buy my book. That's selling. Me, I simply share. Let me tell you what I do. Let me tell you what I offer. Let me share with you a little of my story and my book. And if it's, helpful for you and you think this might help your audience or help you, then great. Let's go from there. Who can't do that? Who can't get excited about just sharing? I mean, after all, isn't that what we do on stage anyway? We're sharing our story. We're sharing different things. Take that same mindset. You don't have to be a marketer or a salesperson with a sales pitch. All you have to do is share. And you'll be amazed how the people who are listening love that so much more. They won't cringe when they see you coming. Okay, so remember, it's all about sharing more than anything else. But it is important that you get it out there. And today, man, we live in a times where it's so much easier. I mean, things like what I'm doing right now with Periscope. And also with our websites and Facebook, there's so many different ways that you could really market yourself and get yourself out there and share your story and what you do. But remember, if you don't carry the title professional speaker to go with all this sharing and to go with all this, you don't really have a place in their mind. They don't really know, okay, well, you got some great messages and some great posts and all these great things, but they don't know you as a professional speaker. They don't know you as someone that they can hire. So that's why it's so important to really take time and learn more about marketing/sharing. And I'm going to spend a whole different conversation on that. We won't have time to get into it today. Today, I'm going to kind of give you the bird's eye view of the speaking business, and then we'll go into the nuts and bolts a little bit later. But something else when it comes to marketing yourself and sharing yourself out there It's who to share it with. Remember, you're a paid speaker. So what I'm about to tell you now is worth gold. So let me wash this down before I toss it up. I could have put that in a better way, but you get my point. Okay. When it comes to getting paid, you need to find not somebody who wants to hear a great speaker, but you want to find those who pay for great speakers. That's why you really need to take time out and think about your audience too. I mean, does your audience have a budget for a speaker? Do they have a community where they can all Hi, I apologize. Maybe I got some bad Wi-Fi, but I do apologize that it froze on me. I don't know what happened on that one. But also, let me take time out and thank my friend Denise, who texted me real quick and told me what to do to get us back on board. So thank you for sticking with me. So I'm gonna go about another 15 minutes, but I think this next piece is so important that I didn't want you guys to miss this. And so what I was sharing before I froze on your screen was right around finding the right people. And so the whole mistake that so many people make is they do all their marketing and all their sharing with people who have no budget or desire to actually pay for a speaker. And so one of the things that I want to do is show you how to find the people who pay for speakers. So you took time out to think. The question now is, does your audience have a community? Do they have a place where they could come together and bring you in as a speaker? I had a friend who's successful now as a speaker, but when he first started, he wanted to speak mainly to inmates, which was great in one sense because inmates, they need a positive message. Inmates need to be able to hear somebody speak and share great messages with them. But the problem with inmates are they don't necessarily have the money to pay for a speaker. So you can spend a lot of time preparing something for inmates, but at the end of the day, the state that owns the inmates don't always have a budget for speakers. So what am I saying? I'm not saying that you should take time out and not speak to inmates, but you're also going to need to be able to put together an audience that can pay for speakers. Let's take schools, for example. There's a lot of people that want to speak in schools. And so what do? They talk to teachers and tell them, hey, I'm a speaker, bring me to your school. Let me tell you what will happen with that. If they do that, you will end up speaking to their class. And at the end of the day, they'll give you a t-shirt and a mug. Let me tell you who's better. Talk to the vice principals and the principals and the counselors. Because they are what I'm going to introduce to you as the economic buyers. And the economic buyers are the people who own the budgets. And those who have the budget can bring in speakers. You see, a counselor and a vice principal and principal can bring together a whole assembly. A teacher and a student can't. So while you're doing all this marketing to students, you need to talk to the economic buyer. So this is what I do. When somebody contacts me and says, Dion, we would love for you to come speak to our organization, or we would love to come to speak to our college or our school, I would say, great, but who else needs to be in on this conversation? What a great statement. Because what I'm asking is, that's wonderful that you want me to come, but who's the decision maker? Who's the one that has the budget for me to come in? Because now if I could get on an email or phone call with all of us, now I know I'm talking to the right people. And so it's so important to know how to get to the economic buyers, the one who pays for speakers. In colleges, it's anybody who has the last title of coordinator, orientation coordinator, Greek life coordinator, special events coordinator. Anyone last title is coordinator, they've got a budget to bring in speakers. So once you've learned how to find the economic buyers, then you have the opportunities to really start talking and negotiating about getting paid as a speaker. And so that's just a short tip, but I'm going to go into more detail and teach you how to find economic buyers in almost every community and organization. So you have the opportunity to share yourself with the right people. So one last thing that I want to share with you guys to end today's conversation, and then, hopefully we might have the opportunity to do this again, and that's fees. So once you tell somebody that you're a professional speaker, they're going to ask you, what's your fee? And if there's one place where most people start tripping over their words, it's the fee. They're afraid to go too high and not be taken seriously, or go too low and realize, they kind of mess themselves up a little bit. So the idea here is you want to take time out and really understand the value of what you have to share, but never quote your fees too quickly, because there's a few things you need to know about their fees before you ask them about their fees or your fees. One thing you need to know is what their need is. Do they need you to do a 45-minute talk or a half-day workshop? Do they need you to speak just once or several times? And then not only that, it's really important to find out what are they looking for? What kind of topics? What is it they need? And so a lot of times when people ask me, well, what's your fee? Now, I would tell them, well, first, let me know a little more about what you're looking for and what you need. Then I could better, tell you, what it is or how I could better package, my fee for you. So they'll tell me, they said, well, we need someone to open up our conference. 45 minutes. It's downtown in Chicago. Great. So automatically now I know that I need to fly out of town. I also know that's just for a 45-minute talk, but I also know it's a conference. And I know conferences have a bigger budget than some other events. So taking all that under consideration, I can better come to them with what my fee is. But before I tell them my fee, I'm going to tell them my value. But before I try to sell you a car, I'm going to first tell you how great the car is, everything the car has. So when I tell you the fee, it sounds like a pretty great deal. Same thing with when I'm sharing my fee with you. First, let me share a little bit what I can do. If you want me to come do a conference, I'll do a 45-minute conference. Most conferences have a breakout session. Me personally, I always offer a free workshop too. So I'll come and do the keynote, but you know what? I'll stick around and do a breakout session as well. If I'm going to fly out there and be there for the day, I might as well, take another 30 or 45 minutes and offer some more value. And so once I share those things, I might even tell them, you know what? Flight included. So I'll make everything just one fee to make it as simple as possible. Then I might tell them to come out there, $5,000. Then I ask them, does that work within your budget? And they might say, oh, no, sorry. I didn't mean to waste your time. Our budget's only around $3,000. Great. Well, guess what? I added so much value, I can now negotiate a little bit with them. I said, okay, well, I could go ahead and take off the breakout session, the workshop that I was going to do, or, have a little more conversation and work it more towards their budget. Or I might say $5,000. They might say, oh yeah, that's well within our budget. Then I shoot myself in the head because I'm thinking, man, they had a bigger budget and I went too low. But the other tip I would give you is always have in your mind before you negotiate fees, what's the lowest you're willing to go? Because you don't want to be that speaker that says, oh, my fee is $3,000. And they say, we only got $500. And you say, okay, I'll come. $500. Great. Yeah. You don't want to be that speaker. All right. So know ahead of time what your lowest amount's going to be. Well, my friends, I could go all day, but I can't because I've got to go spend some time with my kids. What I'm sharing with you is how to become a paid speaker. And I hope to have the opportunity to come back, share some more with you all next week. If all goes well, it'll be next Monday. But before I go, let me share some more freebies with you. Once again, I told you in the very beginning that I wasn't here to sell anything to you, and then that's not my goal. But what I am going to do is let you know some free things that you could have. One is I would ask that you would take time out and friend me on Facebook. You can find me at The Potentialist. You'll find some great videos and some great posts all around personal development and also growing your speaking business. The second thing is visit my website at dionjordan.com. And let me tell you why. Because on the front page, there's a free ebook that's called How to Be a World-Class Communicator. And you could, download that free ebook. And in the back of the ebook are steps on how to become a professional speaker. So some of the things I'm sharing with you tonight are in this ebook. It's totally free. So I definitely invite you to take time out and do that. And then also, my website has a membership section. And in the membership section, I'll be downloading this video. I'll be downloading all the videos around how to get paid as a speaker. But I'm also going to put some documents in there. One of the documents I'm going to put in there is how to set your fees, and the different tips and ideas on how to negotiate fees, how to share your fees, and also how to set them in different markets. Because my fee is different in colleges than it is for corporate America, and it's different in corporate America than it is for private and nonprofit. But I have a good idea of what those budgets look like, and so I'm going to share that on there as well. And then last but not least, no, I think that's it. I think those are the freebies that I'm passing out. So once again, thanks for the hearts. Thanks for tuning in. I ask that you share with your friends. If you know somebody else who's interested and has a passion and a great message to share with others, invite them to the podcast. I'll be back again next week, probably the same time, but I'll definitely do a little sharing and marketing before I do. For everybody who's out there, God bless you and have a great night. Bye-bye.